Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. In last week's video, we talked about selling on the platform of Whatnot. I talked about some things that I looked at as almost non-negotiables, really helpful things that I think it's important to keep in mind if you are thinking about selling on the platform. Today, I wanted to talk about some of the books that actually sell on the platform. So you may have decided, I'm gonna sell, I'm into it, I like the platform, I like the concept, but what sells there? How can I know what to bring to the marketplace? So today I'm gonna go through some of the new inventory I just picked up and kind of talk to you about why it sells, what it is, what the genre is, and show you physical, visual copies of books that you can reference that are books that but books that I know sell really, really well. I'm also going to discuss a little bit of the price points I would use on some of these books, what they can expect to sell for on Whatnot. Let's jump into some of these bags. I'm going to start pulling books out and just explain to you what sells and why I picked it up. All right, so here are the bags. I'm gonna go ahead and start pulling books out and just show you some things that I picked up. So first off, right off the top, we have a Goosebumps novel. This is the one with the apples on the spine. These are the more collectible vintage ones. Always pick up Goosebumps. Right behind that, we have a Pokemon chapter book. Pokemon is super in. A Goosebumps novel, I will typically do anywhere from $1 to $4 on. $4 is going to be if they are in like new, really good condition. $3 if they are in good condition, and then $1 or $2 depending on how much damage and where they have. Something like the Pokemon book, I'll usually do $2 or $3 on these little chapter books like so. Alrighty, so just in this random stack of books here, we have some thriller, Gillian Flynn. This is kind of more of a feel-good novel, it looks like. Another thriller. This is My Dear Hamilton, which is really great for people who are into like nonfiction. Down here, we have a bunch more hardcover, just great novels. Again, more thriller. I really definitely pick up a lot of thriller. This one just has a beautiful cover. The story looked pretty good and it's in good condition, so I'm going to take a little gamble on this one. I don't always need to know if it's a really high rating on like an app like Goodreads or what other readers necessarily think of it. If the story sounds good to me and I enjoy the way that the book presents, then I might pick it up. These are book of the month. Well, this one is, if you can see here, these book of the month logos that you'll see on the spines here sometimes. These I always pick up. I usually charge about $5 for these types of books. Alrighty, let's move on to another bag here. So this is the ultimate Harry Potter spell book. These are great. Anything Harry Potter does really, really well. This one is really fun. It has all of the different like chants and charms and different things that you'll see in Harry Potter. A book like this, I will usually start at about $4 or $5. This one is in really nice condition, so I will probably start this one at $5. I've usually sell it for about $6, $7, maybe even $8, $9, or $10, just depending on who's in the auction. But Harry Potter stuff does really, really well. We have these poetry books. I actually have a few of these, and these are amazing. Both these are by Rupi Kaur, and they are just really nice poetry books. They have some beautiful illustrations in them. These I typically start at about $4 as well, as long as they're in good shape. So again, just more very general fiction hardcovers. We have another Goosebumps. Here's an example of one that has quite a bit of wear on it. So as you can see, there's some bending. This also is not one of the vintage apple spined. This is just another reprinting of a Goosebumps, and this one is 2008, so a lot newer of a printing. This will probably go for just $1. All right, so we definitely have some variety in this stack. I think this is a really good stack here. So first up, we have a manga. Mangas look like this. If you've never seen them before, they are black and white illustrated. And this is My Hero Academia, which is a really popular manga. I always pick these up regardless of what number it is in the series because they always sell. I am really cheap with my manga and do about $2 each unless it's a specific manga like maybe a Pokemon or something really highly sought after. They sell and it's a couple bucks. It's not a huge margin, but you know, I paid 25 cents for this book just for reference. So, you know, after fees, I'm bringing home at least $1.50 profit on that single book. Alrighty, we have another thriller, a popular author, Sherry LaPena, a Neil Gaiman. If you guys are familiar with any sort of the Norse mythology. I do like to pick him up. His books sell really, really well. Here's a really fun one. So this is something I would consider something that I'm going to make a little bit more money on. I don't know anything about this series, but I can tell you by looking at it that I'm going to probably get a minimum of $6 or $7 on this book. It is definitely a spicy little rom-com. It's like a take on Wednesday Addams, Addams Family vibes. And this is a book that easily, without even researching it, I just know I'm going to be able to get a minimum of probably $6. So, and this is another one, Agatha Christie, Halloween Party. This is a standard Agatha, nothing too special. It is one of the newer printings, and these I typically do, you know, another $4 or $5 for. So hopefully you're kind of picking up a little bit on my style of pricing here. Most of my books range from $2 to $4. That is the vast majority of my inventory. And then I have books that are priced at $1, and then books that are priced usually around $5, $6, $7, and $8. $8 really is close to the cap that I charge for my books. All right, now let's discuss some kids books and things like cookbooks and board books. So regarding some of the board books that I like to sell, I love to do things that have touchy-feely components to it. So this is an Usborne. If you are unfamiliar, this is what Usbornes look like. They tend to have this blue and yellow little stripe on them with the little hot air balloon. They have sensory components to it, so things that are scratchy, touch and feel all throughout. These are really, really great. On Usbornes, I typically charge anywhere from $3 to $6 depending on the book. Books like these, the little That's Not My series, I usually do $3 in good condition. Here's just another board book. It's really cute. Goodnight Baboon. Very vibrant, super cute, nice, clean condition. If you see these, you can notice the edges are in really good condition. Everything is very crisp and clean. I'm not buying things that are super damaged. You want to make sure condition is there. You do not want to have to be explaining away all the different flaws on your books as you're selling. Now, a few flaws here and there are okay, but just for the most part, try to pick up especially baby books that are not tattered. And moving on to a kid's chapter book that sells really well. This is the Dear America series. I've actually seen this one before, but I think this is a reprinting. This is the Diary of Emma Simpson from Gordonsville, Virginia, back in the late 1800s. These are really fun chapter books. They follow the diary of a real person, and they're just really great nonfiction, historical fiction kids books. The Dear America book will probably sell for about $3 or $4. It may go on auction and could sell upwards of $5 or even maybe $6. Chapter is my least bought category, kids category, so I don't pick up a whole lot of kids chapter these days. Moving on to a graphic novel. These are fun if you're not familiar. These are comic book style graphic novels. These are really, really fun readers. I always charge $3 on my graphic novels, again, unless they are something super rare or special or just in immaculate condition. $3 pretty much across the board. Setting a set price on a lot of your books really helps create a standard for your buyers. It helps them understand that when they're looking at your inventory, you don't need to tell them what the price is every single time, because they can look at this and go, oh, that's a graphic novel, that's $3. And then they can determine right then and there whether or not they want it. So speaking of things that have set prices, let's talk about something else that has a set price on my show, which are leveled readers. These are so fun. These are those I Can Read leveled readers. They come in a few different formats, but they all look like this. They are these rectangular thin readers, and they tend to have a number in the corner, or it'll say what this one says, which is my first reader. Sometimes they'll have the number 1, 2, 3, 4, or even 5. And these are great for beginners. They are always $1 on my show. So I always highly recommend picking those up. They're a really good flip, and they're really light, so they don't add a lot of weight to people's piles. We have Elephant and Piggy by Mo Williams, who is so fun. He's definitely one of my favorite authors. He is highly requested in my shows. I will not be able to show him without selling him. He very rarely ends up on my shelf. Books like this that talk a lot about kindness or treating people fairly or including others or being, you know, not being selfish, like whatever the different values that you may want. These are those types of books. And so if you ever find books, they're called like social emotional books, where they talk about dealing with feelings like anger or frustration or being sad. Those are really, really good, and those sell really well. Another one, as a side tip, that is really sought after are potty training books. So any good condition education, up-to-date potty training books are also very sought after. So this is a fun little series. This is the How Do Dinos, and they are different stories about how do dinos do things. So how do dinosaurs say I'm mad? Talking about social emotional, this is perfect lead into. And this one just talks about all the different things that dinosaurs could do when they were mad, but instead they don't do those things. And so highly sought after dinosaurs, social emotional, this is a great combo to look for. These I typically do about $3 on, sometimes $2 if they're not in excellent condition, but $3 roughly on something like that. Here's another $3 book, The Couch Potato. This is such a cute little series. Again, you're just looking for up-to-date modern vibes, something that's not too dated, not something that maybe you wouldn't see on the shelves at like a Barnes & Noble or a Target. You want to look for the stuff that looks a little bit more modern, in good condition, and great storyline. All right, and last up for you guys, I have a cookbook to show as a reference. This is the Goodful Cookbook, Simple and Balanced Recipes to Live Well. It's beautiful overall, really nice, clean condition. I have a couple of criteria that I do when I pick up cookbooks. The first is that it cannot have any outer damage. The second is when you flip through, there are colorful illustrations throughout to just kind of help encourage you to want to utilize the cookbook. I almost always sell my cookbooks for, again, $3. So super great deals on my show. That doesn't have to be your pricing structure. That's just how I price things in my show. That is an example of some of the stuff that I pick up. And I think that everything I showed you is something that I've sold either multiple times or sell very quickly. So these are not things that are going to really sit on your shelf very long. So let's just look at some of the things that are on the shelf that are also things I think do sell well and you should keep an eye out for when you're outsourcing. So first up, let's talk about Stephen King. He is a very well-known author. I feel like most people know who Stephen King is. Very, very popular author. He's easily identifiable. He has his names very large on all his books. I do pick him up almost any time that I see him. Just a small insider tip, keep an eye out for these Richard Bachman books. Richard Bachman is Stephen King's pen name from back in the day. He doesn't write under that name anymore, not that I know of, but that is his old pen name. So keep an eye out for Richard Bachman as well, because that is Stephen. So earlier I mentioned spicy books. Spicy books are going to be books that have some higher level romance in it. It's not just going to be about flirting and dating and connecting with each other. This is an example of a spicy book. It is erotica. There is definitely going to be some scenes in there that are going to, you know, get your blood pumping a little bit. So spicy books, they sell very, very well on Whatnot. Young adult also sells extremely well on Whatnot. Now, there is so much out there and not everything sells. Just a few things I'll kind of point out. A lot of books that have these just kind of really pretty covers, they aren't always necessarily excellent books, but they can sell very, very well. So look for the books that kind of have like this very unique cover, very, very pretty and interesting. Keep in mind when you're outsourcing that you want to check Goodreads or Google or other places that list series books in order so that you can know if you are picking up book 1 of a series or book 3 of a series, because that can make a difference. It might be really great looking and have a great storyline, and if it's not selling and you're wondering why, it might be because it's not the first book in the series. So just keep an eye out for series and get to know them. Start familiarizing yourself with them. Goodreads is a great resource for that. They do a really good job at showing you every single book that's in that series, including spin-offs, novellas, books that are in between the series, things like that. I just wanted to jump in here for a second and show you some visuals of some of the books that I really think you should be keeping an eye out for when you're outsourcing. I think this does a great job of giving you something to actually tangibly see. The bright colors, the cute colors, the romancy vibes, the way the font looks, some of these author names. Here's a few more just popular, you know, you have these very popular books that were adapted into film and TV, your series sets down here, your book talk style books. Here is some young adult, again, just trying to give you a visual, something so that you can see it and go, okay, that's kind of what I need to really be looking for and making sure that I'm picking up. The half-dressed men, the sensual, seductive covers, the spicy smut stuff, definitely important to bring to the platform if you pick it up. People love it. Here is that book of the month again with the logos and just some more examples. And then, of course, the kids' books again with the very vibrant and bright, colorful, twisted Tales, Disney Retelling, Social Emotional, the Usborne, the Pokemon. I even have up here just some of the Amish style stuff because that can do very well as well. So just keep an eye out for these types of things when you're outsourcing. Make sure you're picking these up when you come across them. If you're selling on Whatnot in particular, these do extremely well. All right, guys, so I've shown you some books that I think sell really well on Whatnot. I want to now show you some books that do not sell as well. This is my clearance shelf. This is where a lot of books kind of come to die. Sometimes I will run these on clearance, 2 for $1 just to move them. But a lot of times these either end up redonated or donated to my local nonprofit who disperses them across my local city. So just wanted to show you a couple examples. Starting us off, we have up here at the top a couple of these Danielle Steele novels. Danielle Steele is really published. She's written tons of books in her lifetime, so they just don't really move very well. A big tip would be to kind of steer clear of buying a lot of those really overpublished authors. So your John Grishams, your James Pattersons, Danielle Steele, even some Nora Roberts, a lot of just those authors that are like so heavily published that you can find them in any thrift store. You really don't need to buy James Patterson books to bring to Whatnot. People can find those when they walk into most of their local thrift stores. So just keep that in mind. A lot of those oversaturated authors just don't really sell. Here's a couple more examples of something that's not really anything special. This one looks like a good little thriller, but it's by an author who's just really not very well known. Just a few of these books that they looked like they would sell. They just didn't. So I don't really know how to describe it. All I can do is kind of show it to you. It's something that I really, really, really think you just have to get an eye for. It's going to be hard. You're going to have trial and error. You're going to buy books that you think will sell and they just won't. I've had these books sitting on my shelf for sometimes months before I realize they just need to be pulled. They're not selling. Sometimes you'll come across these, mass markets. Let's talk about mass markets for a second. These are mass markets, they are nothing special. They're just everywhere. Again, another thing that you can walk into a thrift store and find. I just don't really think those are worth bringing to Whatnot. Again, it's kind of just about training your eye. It's going to take some time. Just one more little mention I will have. Again, it's training your eye. It's really hard to describe to you these books. When you see them, they just aren't anything super special. I have a lot of kids books from time to time. So for example, this Hank Zipper series is super, super cute. It's a really fun kind of beginner chapter book series, but I randomly have books 3, 5, 7, and 8. Nobody needs those books. I never really get books 1 and 2. Again, book 6 of a kids book series, book 3 of a kids book series. It's just kind of hard to find, and it really, really is just going to take a trained eye. So I know that it's kind of challenging for me to point at these and go, these are not sellers. They can sell. These for me did not sell, and I just wanted to kind of visually show you a little bit of what those look like. Get out there, pick up books, be prepared to make some fails. Don't look at them as a fail, look at it as a learning opportunity. You're gonna pick up some duds and you're just gonna learn across the way. You'll see that book sitting on your shelf for a month, nobody's buying it, eventually you decide to move it into the donation pile, and then you just don't pick it up again. And you've learned your lesson now on that one. So you're gonna have to go through some trial and error for sure. Trust me, I've been doing this for a few years, and I spent the first year or two making tons and tons of mistakes, picking up books that you see I still pick up to this day that just don't move. And so don't be afraid to let them go off of your shelf and make room for better quality inventory. All right, guys, so that was a good recap of some of the books that sell really well on Whatnot. Hopefully you're able to get a pretty good visual of some things to keep an eye out for when you're out in the wild sourcing. I do highly recommend really learning the market, learning what sells, get on the app, get on the shows, go through people's lives, look in their sold comps, look in their auction tab, or just hang out, see what people are buying, see what people are requesting. One last tip I'm going to leave you with before we log off is go to Target, go to Barnes & Noble, go to Walmart, go walk in their book sections, go see what books are currently out on the shelves and start looking for those out in the wild. Look for those more modern authors. Now, that doesn't mean that's all you need to sell. That is what I specialize in, kids and more modern adult fiction and young adult fiction. Antique books, collectibles, vintage books, they sell very well as well. So don't count those out. Just know that if you're doing a general show with general fiction, this is the type of stuff you want to be looking for. There are literally millions of books out there, and there are a lot of books that will just never sell on this platform. So I think it's important to know the difference by the visual spotting. So get your eye trained, get out there, start looking, and start selling, because that's going to be one of the best ways to start learning what does and doesn't sell. All right, guys, that's going to be it for today's video. I really hope that you gained some knowledge in this video and you're able to start going out sourcing and getting your inventory stocked up for your first show. If you enjoyed the video, definitely make sure you have hit that like button, and please consider subscribing if you haven't already. I'll catch you guys next week. Have a great week. Until then, bye.